Hello, Shabbat Shalom. Uh, Thank you for joining me for the 16th week, 16th reading of the Torah Portion. This week's is called Beshalach. Probably butchered that, meaning when he sent. We'll be reading Exodus 13:17 through 17:16 from Judges 4 4 through 531, Matthew 14:22 to 33, and a bonus, Revelation 19:11 through 19:21. We'll begin the scriptures. The 2009 version. All right. Exodus chapter 13, 17. Found on page 71. And it came to be when Pharaoh had let the people go that Elohim did not lead them away by the land of the Philistines, though that was nearer. For Elohim said, lest the people regret when they see fighting and return to Mizraim. So Elohim led the people around by the way of the wilderness of the Sea of Reeds. And the children of Israel went up in fives from the land of Mizraim. And Moshe took the bones of Joseph with him, for he certainly made the children of Israel swear, saying, Elohim shall certainly visit you, and you shall bring my bones from here with you. And they departed from Sukkot and camped in Etham, at the edge of the wilderness. And Yahweh went before them by day, and in a column of cloud to lead the way, and by night in a column of fire to give them light, so as to go by day and night. The column of cloud did not cease by day, nor the column of fire by night before the people. 14. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, that they turn and camp before Pi Hadramath, before Megadon and the sea, opposite Baal Zephon, camp before it by the sea. For Pharaoh shall say of the children of Israel, they are entangled in the land, the wilderness has closed them in. And I shall strengthen the heart of Pharaoh, and he shall pursue them. But I am to esteem through Pharaoh and over all his army, and the Mizraim shall know that I am Yahweh. And they did so. And it was reported to the sovereign of Mizraim that the people had fled, and that the heart of Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people. And they said, why have we done this, that we have let the Israel go from serving us? So he made his chariot ready and took his people with him. He took 600 choice chariots, and all the chariots of Mizraim with officers over all of them. And Yahweh strengthened the heart of the Pharaoh, sovereign of Mizraim, and he pursued the children of Israel. But the children of Israel went out defiantly. And the Mizraim pursued them, and all the horse and chariots of Pharaoh, and his horsemen, and his army, and overtook them, camping by the sea beside Pi Harath, before Baal Zephon. And when Pharaoh drew near, the children of Israel lifted their eyes and saw the Mizraim coming up after them. And they were greatly afraid, so the children of Israel cried out to Yahweh. And they said to Moshe, did you take us away to die in the wilderness because there are no burial sites in Mizraim? What is this you have done to us, to bring us up out of Mizraim? Is it not the word that we spoke to you in Mizraim, saying, leave us alone and let us serve the Mizraims? For it would have been better for us to serve the Mithrites than to die in the wilderness. And Moshe said to the people, do not be afraid. Stand still and see the deliverance of Yahweh, which he does for you. For the Mithrites whom you see today are never to be seen again. Yahweh does fight for you, and you keep silent. And Yahweh said to Moshe, why do you cry to me? Speak to the children of Israel, and let them go forward. And you lift up your rod, and stretch out your hand over the sea, and divide it. And let the children of Israel go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I am strengthening the hearts of the Mithrites, and they shall follow them. And I am to be esteemed, gloried through Pharaoh, over all his army, his chariots, and his horsemen. And the Mithrites shall know that I am Yahweh, when I am esteemed through Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen. And the messenger of Elohim, who went before the camp of Israel, moved and went behind them, and a column of cloud went from before them and stood behind them, and came between the camp of the Mizrahites and the camp of Israel. And it was the cloud and the darkness, and it gave light and night. And the one did not come near the other all the night. And Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night. And made the sea into dry land, and waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea on dry ground, and the waters were a wall to them on their right and to their left. And the Mithrites pursued and went after them into the midst of the sea, all of the horses of Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to be in the morning watch, that Yahweh looked down upon the army of Mithrites through the column of fire and cloud, and he brought the army of the Mithrites into confusion. And he took off their chariot wheels, so that they drove with difficulties. And the Mithrites said, let us flee from the face of Israel, for Yahweh fights for them against the Mithrites. Then Yahweh said to Moshe, stretch out your hand over the sea, and let the waters come back upon the Mithrites, on their chariots, and on their horsemen. And Moshe stretched out his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its usual flow at the break of day, with the Mithrites fleeing into it. Thus Yahweh overthrew the Mithrites in the midst of the sea, and the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the army of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. Not even one was left of them. And the children of Israel walked on dry ground in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall to them on the right and to their left. Thus Yahweh saved Israel that day out of the hand of Mithraim. And Israel saw the Mithrites dead on the seashore. And Israel saw the great work which Yahweh had done in Mithraim. And the people feared Yahweh and believed Yahweh and his servant Moshe. 15. Then Moshe and the children of Israel sang this song to Yahweh, and spoke, saying, I sing to Yahweh, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. Yah is my strength and song. He has become my deliverance. He is my El, and I praise him. Elohim of my father, and I exalt him. Yahweh is a man of battle. Yahweh is his name. He has cast Pharaoh's chariots and his army into the sea, and his chosen officers are drowned in the sea of reeds. The depths covered them. They went down to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Yahweh, has become great in power. Your right hand, O Yahweh, has crushed the enemy. And in the greatness of your excellence, you pulled down those who rose up against you. You sent forth your wrath. It consumed them like a stubble. And in the wind of your nostrils, the waters were heaped up. The floods stood like a wall. The depths became stiff in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I pursue, I overtake, I divide the spoil. My being is satisfied on them. I draw out my sword, and my hand destroys them. You did blow with your wind. The sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, O Yahweh, among the mighty ones? Who is like you, great in set apartness, awesome in praises, working wonders? You stretched out your right hand, the earth swallowed them up. In your loving commitment, you led the people whom you have redeemed. In your strength, you guided them to your set-apart dwelling. Peoples heard, they trembled anguished, gripped the inhabitants of Philistine. And the chief of the Edom were troubled. The mighty men of Moab, trembling, grips them, and all the inhabitants of Canaan melted. Fear and dread fell on them by the greatness of your arm. They are silent as a stone until your people pass over. O Yahweh, until the people whom you have brought pass over. You bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place, O Yahweh, which you have made for your own dwelling, the set-apart place, O Yahweh, which your hands have prepared. Yahweh reigns forever and ever. The horses of Pharaoh went with his chariots, and his horsemen into the sea. And Yahweh brought back the waters of the sea upon them, and the children of Israel went on dry ground in the midst of the sea. And Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took the timber in her hand, and the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. And Miriam answered them, said, Sing to Yahweh, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. And Moshe brought Israel from the sea of reeds, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness, and found no water. And they came to Mahar, and they were unable to drink the water of Mahar, for they were bitter. So the name of it was called Mahara. And the people grumbled against Moshe, saying, What are we to drink? Short memories. When he cried out to Yahweh, and Yahweh showed him a tree. And when he threw it into the waters were made sweet. There he made a law and a right ruling for them. And there he tried them. And he said, If you diligently obey the voice of Yahweh, your Elohim, and do what is right in his eyes, and shall listen to his commands, and shall guard all his laws, I shall bring on you none of the diseases I brought on the Mitzrayim, for I am Yahweh who heals you. And they came to Elim, there where there were 12 fountains of water, and 70 palm trees, and they camped there by the waters. 16. And they set out from Elim, and all the congregation of children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sion, on the 15th day of the second new moon, after their going out of the land of Mitzrayim. And all the congregation of the children of Israel grumbled against Moshe and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said to them, If only we had died by the hand of Yahweh in the land of Mitzrayim, when we sat by the pots of meat, and we ate bread to satisfaction. For you have brought us out into the wilderness to put all this assembly to death with hunger. And Yahweh said to Moshe, See, I am raining bread on you from the heavens for you, and the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day, in order to try them, whether they walk in my Torah or not. And it shall be on the 6th day that they shall prepare what they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. And Moshe and Aaron said to all the children of Israel, At evening you shall know that Yahweh has brought you out of the land of Mizraim. And in the morning you shall see the esteem of Yahweh, for he hears your grumblings against Yahweh. And what are we that you grumbled against us? And Moshe said, In that Yahweh gives you meat to eat in the evening, and in the morning bread to satisfaction. For Yahweh hears your grumblings which you make against him. And what are we? Your grumblings are not against us, but against Yahweh. And Moshe said to Aaron, Say to all the congregation of the children of Israel, Come near before Yahweh, for he has heard your grumblings. And it came to be, as Aaron spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness, and see, the esteem of Yahweh appeared in a cloud. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, I have heard the grumblings of the children of Israel. Speak to them, saying, Between the evenings you are to eat meat, and in the morning you are to be satisfied with bread. And you shall know that I am Yahweh your Elohim. And it came to be that quails came up at evening and covered the camp. And in the morning the dew lay all around the camp. And the layer of dew went up, and see, on the surface of the wilderness was a small round substance, as fine as frost on the ground. And the children of Israel saw, and they said to each other, What is this? For they did not know what it was. And Moshe said to them, It is the bread which Yahweh has given you to eat. This is the word which Yahweh has commanded. Let every man gather it according to each one's needs, an omer for each being, according to the number of beings. Let every man take for those who are in his tent. And the children of Israel did so, and gathered some more and some less. And they measured it by omers, and he who gathered much did not have too much, and he who gathered little did not have too little. Each one gathered according to his need. And Moshe said, Let no one leave any until morning. And they did not listen to Moshe. And they did not listen to Moshe. So some of them left part of it until morning, and its breadworms and stank. And Moshe was wroth with them. And they gathered every morning, each one according to his need. And when the sun became hot, it melted. It came to be on the 6th day that they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for each one. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moshe. And he said to them, This is what Yahweh has said. Tomorrow is a rest, a Sabbath, set apart to Yahweh, that you take bread, bake, and that which you cook, and lay up for yourselves all that is left over to keep until morning. And they laid it up until morning, as Moshe commanded. And it did not stink, and no worms was in it. And Moshe said, Eat it today, for today is the Sabbath, Shabbat, to Yahweh. Today you do not find it in the field. Gather in 6 days, but on the seventh day, which is the Sabbath, there is none. And it came to be that some of the people went out on the seventh day to gather, but they found none. And Yahweh said to Moshe, How long shall you refuse to guard my commands and my Torah? See, because Yahweh has given you the Sabbath, therefore he is giving you bread for 2 days on the sixth day. Let each one of you stay in his place. Do not let anyone go out of his place on the seventh day. So the people rested on the seventh day, and the house of Israel called its name manna. And it was like white coriander seed, and its taste was like thin cakes made with honey. And Moshe said, This is the word which Yahweh has commanded. Fill an omer with it. Keep it for generations, so that they see the bread with which I fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you out of the land of Mizraim. And Moshe said to Aaron, Take a pot, and put an omer of manna in it, and set it down before Yahweh to keep for your generations. And Yahweh commanded Moshe, so did Aaron, set it down before the witnesses to keep. And the children of Israel ate manna 40 years, until they came to inhabit the land. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. An omer is 1/10 of an ephah. 17. And all the congregation of the children of Israel set out on their journey from the wilderness of Sin, according to the mouth of Yahweh, and camped in Rehoboam. There was no water for the people to drink. Therefore the people strove with Moshe. A little drinking water. Therefore the people strove with Moshe and said, Give us water to drink. And Moshe said to them, Why do you strive with me? Why do you try Yahweh? And the people thirst for water. And the people grumbled against Moshe and said, Why did you bring us out of Mizraim to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst? Again with these people. Then Moshe cried out to Yahweh, saying, What am I to do with you people? Yet a little, and they shall stone me. Yahweh said to Moshe, Pass over before the people, and take you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand your rod with which you struck the river, and go. See, I am standing before you there on the rock of Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and the water shall come out of it, and the people shall drink. And Moshe did so before the eyes of the elders of Israel, and he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the strife of the children of Israel, and because they tried Yahweh, saying, Is he in our midst or not? And Amalek came and fought with Israel in Ramak. And Moshe said to Joshua, Choose us men and go out and fight with Amalek tomorrow. I am stationing myself on the top of the hill with the rod of Elohim in my hand. And Joshua did as Moshe said to do, to fight Amalek. And Moshe and Aaron and Hur went up to the top of the hill. And it came to be when Moshe held up his hand that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moshe's hands were heavy. So they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur supported his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. And Yahweh said to Moshe, Write this for remembrance in the book, and recite it in the hearing of Joshua, that I shall completely blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens. And Moshe built a slaughter place, and called its name Nissi. For he said, because a hand is on the throne of Yahweh is to fight against Amalek from generation to generation. Okay, that finishes Exodus part. Judges 4 through 5. Judges 5:31. So all okay. And Deborah, the prophetess, the wife of Lapinoth, was ruling Israel at that time. And she was dwelling under the palm tree of Deborah, between Raham and Beth El, in the mountains of Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for right ruling. And she sent and called for Barak, her son, of Amalek, some from Kadesh in Naphtali, and said to him, Has not Yahweh Elohim of Israel commanded, Go, and you shall draw towards Mount Tabor, and shall take with you 10,000 men of the sons of Naphtali, and the sons of Zulum. And I shall draw unto you Sisera, the commander of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his company at the wadi of Kishon, and shall give him into your hand. And Barak said to her, If you go with me, then I shall go. But if you do not go with me, I do not go. And she said, I shall certainly go with you. Only there is no need to esteem for you on the journey you are taking, for Yahweh is going to sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. So Deborah rose and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up, 10,000 men under his command, and Deborah went up with him. And Heber, the Cunite of the children of Hoab, the father-in-law of Moshe, and had separated himself from the Cunites, and pitched his tent near the terebinth tree at Sanaim, which is beside Kadesh. And they reported to Sisera that Barak, son of Amalek, had gone up to Mount Tabor. So Sisera called all his chariots, 900 chariots of iron, and all the people who were with him, from Harasheth Higgon to the Wadi Shunem. And Deborah said to Barak, Rise up, for this is the day in which Yahweh has given Sisera into your hand. Has not Yahweh gone out before you? And Barak went down from Mount Tabor with 10,000 men after him. And Yahweh destroyed Sisera and all his chariots and all his army with the edge of the sword before Barak. Sisera leaped from his chariot and fled away on foot. But Barak pursued the chariot and the army as far as Harosheth-Haggon, and all the army of Sisera fell by the edge of the sword. Not one was left. Sisera, meanwhile, had fled on foot to the tent of Yaphiah, the wife of Heber, the Cunite, for there was peace between Jabin, sovereign of Hatzor, and the house of Heber the Cunite. And Japhel went out to meet Sisera, and said to him, Turn aside, my master, turn aside to me, do not fear. So he turned aside with her into the tent, and she covered him with a blanket. And he said to her, Please give me a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. So she opened a bottle of milk and gave him a drink and covered him. And he said to her, Stand by the door of the tent, and it shall be, if anyone comes comes and asks you and says, "Is there a man in there?" you shall say no. But Rahel, her Heber's wife, took a tent peg and a hammer in her hand, and went softly to him, and drove the peg into the side of his neck, and it went down into the ground, for he was fast asleep and exhausted, and he died. And see, as Barak pursued Sisera, Japhel came out to meet him, and said to him, "Come, let me show you the man whom you are seeking." And when he went into her tent, there lay Sisera dead with the pegs in the side of his head. And on that day Elohim humbled Jabin, sovereign of Canaan, in the presence of the children of Israel. And the hand of the children of Israel grew stronger and stronger against Jabin, sovereign of Canaan, until they had cut off Jabin, sovereign of Canaan. 5. And on that day Deborah and Barak, son of Amalek, sang, saying, "For the leaders leading in Israel, for the people voluntarily, bless Yahweh. Hear, O sovereigns, give ear, O princes. I do sing to Yahweh, I sing praise to Yahweh, Elohim of Israel." Yahweh, when you went out from Seir, when you stepped in from the field of Edom, the earth shook and the heavens poured. The clouds also poured water. The mountains flow in the presence of Yahweh. This Sion at the presence of Yahweh, Elohim of Israel. In the days of Shagamar, the son of Aganeth, in the days of Yahiel, the highways were deserted, and the travelers went in crooked ways. Leadership ceased, and it ceased in Israel, until I, Deborah, arose, a mother in Israel arose. They chose new mighty ones. Then fighting was in the gates. Neither a shield nor spear was seen among 40,000 in Israel. My heart is toward the inscribers of Israel, the volunteers among the people. Bless Yahweh. You who ride on white donkeys, you who sit on rich carpets, and you who walk along the way, declare it. By the voice of shouters between the place of drawing water, there they recount the righteous acts of Yahweh, the righteous acts of his leadership in Israel. Then the people of Yahweh shall go down to the gates. Wake up, Deborah. Wake up. Sing a song. Arise, Barak, and lead your captives away, O son of Abiram. Then he set the remnant to rule the nobles. Yahweh came down for me against the mighty ones. Out of Ephraim, the root is against Amalek. After you, Benjamin, with your peoples. Out of Machor, inscribers came down, and out of Zebulun, those who handled the scribes read. And the heads of Yishkar were with Deborah, and as Yishkar, so was Barak, set into the valley under his command. Among the divisions of Reuben, there were great searchings of heart. Why did you remain among the sheepfolds to hear the bleating of the flocks? The division of Reuben have great searchings of heart. Gilead remained beyond the Jordan. And why did Dan sojourn by the ships? Asher continued at the seashore, and remained by its landing places. Zebulun is a people who risk their lives to the point of death. Naphtali also on the heights of the field. Sovereigns came, they fought, then the sovereigns of Canaan fought at Tamach, by the waters of Megiddo. They took no spoils of silver. From the heavens they fought. The stars from their courses fought against Sisera. The wadi of Cushan swept them away. that age-old wadi, the wadi of Kishon. O my being, you have trampled in strength, then stamped hoofs of horses with galloping of his steeds. Curse Meroz, said a messenger of Yahweh. Curse its inhabitants, because they did not come to help of Yahweh, but to the help of Yahweh among the mighty. Blessed above women is Japhel, the wife of Heber the Canaanite. Above women in tents she is blessed. He asked for water, she gave milk. She brought out curdled milk in a bowl for nobles. She stretched her hand to a tent peg, and her right hand to a workman's hammer. Then she pounded Sisera, she smashed his head, she pierced and struck through the side of his head. Between her feet he bowed. He fell, he lay still. Between her feet he bowed, he fell. Where he bowed, there he fell, destroyed. Through the window the mother of Sisera looked, and cried out throughout the lattice, why does his chariot delay to come? Why have the steps of his chariots tottered? The wise ones of her princesses answered, indeed, she answered herself. Did they not find and divide the spoil? A girl or two for each man, a spoil of dyed work for Sisera, a spoil of dyed work dyed work richly embroidered for the necks of the looter. So do all your enemies perish, O Yahweh, but let those who love him be like the sun rising in its might. And the land had rested 40 years. Matthew 14:22-33. And immediately Yeshua made his taught ones enter into the boat and go before him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowds. And having dismissed the crowds, he went up to the mountain by himself to pray. And when the evening had come, he was there alone. And the boat was now in the middle of the sea, agitated by the waves, for the wind was against it. And in the fourth watch of the night, Yeshua went to them, walking on the sea. And when the taught ones saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, it is a phantom. And from fear they cried, but immediately Yeshua spoke to them, saying, take courage, it is I, do not be afraid. And Kepha, Peter, answered him and said, Master, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. And he said, come. And when Peter, Kepha, had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Yeshua. But when he saw the wind was strong, he was afraid, and beginning to sink. He was afraid and beginning to sink. He cried out, saying, Master, save me. And immediately Yeshua stretched out his hand, took hold of him, and said to him, O you of little belief, why did you doubt? When they came into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat came and did bow to him, saying, truly, you are the Son of Elohim. Revelations 19:11 through 21 on page 1213. And I saw heaven opened up, and there was a white horse, and he who sat on him was called Trustworthy and True, and in righteousness he judges and fights. and his eyes were a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, having a name that has been written, which no one has perceived except himself. And having been dressed in a robe dipped in blood, and his name was called the Word of Yahweh. And the armies in the heavens, dressed in fine linen, white and clean, followed him on the white horse. And out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, and with it he should smite the nations, and he shall shepherd them with the rod of iron. And he treads the winepress of fierceness and wrath of El Shaddai. And on his robe and on his thigh he has a name written: Sovereign of sovereigns, Masters of masters, King of kings, Lord of lords. And I saw one messenger standing in the sun, and he cried out with a loud voice, saying to all the birds that fly in mid-heaven, Come and gather together for the supper of the great Elohim, to eat the flesh of sovereigns, and the flesh of commanders, and the flesh of strong ones, and the flesh of horses, and of those who sit on them, and the flesh of all the people, free and slave, both small and great. And I saw the beast and the sovereigns of the earth and their armies gathered together to fight him who sat on the horse and his army. And the beast was seized, and with him the false prophet who worked signs in his presence, by which he led astray those who received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. The two were thrown alive into the lake of fire burning with sulfur, and the rest were killed with the sword which came from the mouth of him who sat on the horse, and all the birds were filled with their flesh. Thank you for listening. Shalom. May you have a great Shabbat. Read your Bible and talk to the Father.